Over 200 lives were extinguished by a man they trusted with their health, their secrets, and their very lives. The man with the power to heal instead chose to harm, to kill. His name was Harold Shipman, a British physician who, from the years of 1975 to 1998, became one of the most prolific serial killers in recorded history. Born the middle child into a working-class family on January 14, 1946, Harold Frederick Shipman, known as Fred, was the favorite child of his domineering mother, Vera. She instilled in him an early sense of superiority that tainted most of his later relationships, leaving him an isolated adolescent with few friends. Shipman was not your typical monster hiding in the shadows. He was a respected doctor, a pillar of society, a man whose profession was to save lives, not end them. When his mother was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer, he willingly oversaw her care as she declined, fascinated by the positive effect that the administration of morphine had on her suffering until she succumbed to the disease on June 21, 1963. He was determined to go to medical school, and he was admitted to Leeds University Medical School for training 2 years later, having failed his entrance exams first time before serving his hospital internship. Still a loner, he met his future wife Primrose at the age of 19, and they were married when she was 17 and 5 months pregnant with their first child. By 1974, he was a father of 2 and had joined a medical practice in Todmorden, Yorkshire, where he initially thrived as a family practitioner before allegedly becoming addicted to the painkiller pethidine. His method was as clinical as it was cruel. He would administer lethal doses of morphine, then alter the medical records to cover his tracks. His victims would be injected with 6 times the normal amount of the drug and would stop breathing within minutes of it being administered. Shipman would then sign off their death certificates and pin the blame on old age or a similar cause of death. And as the majority of his victims were elderly, his crimes went undetected for years. He was careful, meticulous, and utterly ruthless. It is impossible to be certain about the exact number, but the inquiry concluded that, in total, he had killed around 280 people. His victims, mostly elderly women, were chosen because they were vulnerable and unlikely to be missed. The chilling reality is that he could take a life and walk away undetected and unchallenged. But Shipman's reign of terror did not go unnoticed forever. Angela Woodruff, the daughter of one of his victims, smelled a rat. His killing spree was only brought to an end thanks to the determination of Angela Woodruff, who refused to accept the explanations given for her mother's death. Kathleen Grundy, an active, wealthy 81-year-old widow, was found dead in her home on June 24, 1998, following an earlier visit by Shipman. Woodruff was advised by Shipman that an autopsy was not required, and Grundy was buried following her daughter's wishes. Woodruff was a lawyer and had always handled her mother's affairs, so it was with some surprise that she discovered that another will existed, leaving the bulk of her mother's estate to Dr. Shipman. Woodruff was convinced the document was a forgery and that Shipman had murdered her mother, forging the will to benefit from her death. She alerted the local police, where Detective Superintendent Bernard Postles quickly came to the same conclusion upon examination of the evidence. Grundy's body was exhumed, and a post-mortem revealed that she had died of a morphine overdose administered within 3 hours of her death, precisely within the time frame of Shipman's visit to her. Shipman's home was raided, yielding medical records, an odd jewelry collection, and an old typewriter which proved to be the instrument upon which Grundy's forged will had been produced. Following extensive investigations, which included numerous exhumations and autopsies, the police charged Shipman with 15 individual counts of murder on September 7, 1998, as well as 1 count of forgery. Shipman's trial commenced in Preston Crown Court on October 5, 1999. Attempts by his defense counsel to have Shipman tried in 3 separate phases, that is, cases with physical evidence, cases without, and the Grundy case, where the forgery differentiated it from other cases, as well as to have damning evidence relating to Shipman's fraudulent accumulation of morphine and other drugs, were thrown out. The trial proceeded on the 16 charges included in the indictment. The prosecution asserted that Shipman had killed the 15 patients because he enjoyed exercising control over life and death, and dismissed any claims that he had been acting compassionately. as none of his victims were suffering a terminal illness. Woodruff appeared as the first witness. Her forthright manner and account of her unremitting determination to get to the truth impressed the jury, and attempts by Shipman's defense to undermine her were largely unsuccessful. Shipman was charged with 15 counts of murder and 1 count of forgery. His trial revealed a pattern of deceit, manipulation, and cold-blooded murder. Whatever the exact number, the sheer scale of his murderous activities meant that Shipman was catapulted from a British patient killer to the most prolific known serial killer in the world. Throughout these investigations, he remained at Durham Prison, maintaining his innocence, and was staunchly defended by his wife Primrose and family. He was moved to Wakefield Prison in June 2003, which made visits from his family easier. On January 13, 2004, Shipman was discovered hanging in his prison cell at Wakefield, having used bedsheets tied to the window bars of his cell. There remains some mystery about the whereabouts of his remains, with some claiming that his body is still in a Sheffield morgue. The story of Harold Shipman is a chilling reminder that evil can wear many masks. It's a stark warning that trust, once given, can be exploited. And it's a sobering testament to the fact that sometimes the monsters aren't hiding under our beds, they're walking among us dressed in the garb of respectability. So, as we reflect on the life and crimes of Harold Shipman, let it be a reminder to us all, not to live in fear, but to live in awareness. If you've been intrigued or chilled to the bone, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more mysteries that await. Hit the bell to never miss out on our next adventure into the unknown. Until then, keep the curiosity alive, and remember, the truth is often stranger than fiction. This is Z Mysteries signing off. Stay safe and see you in the next video.